NFL Week 7, college football Week 8 preview with betting picks, of course. Alex, let's start with the game of the week in the NFL, the Super Bowl rematch. This line has moved, but currently, right now, at the time of recording, the 49ers are a 1.5-point favorite in this game. Once again, pointed out last time when we covered the 49ers for a betting preview, the advanced analytics will tell you that this team is better than their record, but they haven't been as good in the red zone without Christian McCaffrey. And Kansas City has an elite red zone defense. Mahomes in this offense, look, they're not as good as they used to be, but the defense has never been better. Never bet against Mahomes and the Chiefs as a dog. Look, I'm not going to make that mistake again. Andy Reid coming off of a bye. Never bet against Reid coming off of a bye as well. I've got to take the points here, and I'm going to put some money on the money line as well for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, Brad. I mean, I know Jordan Mason and no, like you said, Christian McCaffrey, Isaac Garendo, who everybody should have picked him up if they were on your wire already. Fantasy alert. But he is going to get to start this game. And, we have to give Kyle Shanahan credit. That Shanahan way of running the ball, they always find a way to run the ball. But I think this may be a big game for Xavier Worthy because they are decimated on that back end. Who is Shardavius Ward going to cover? Is he going to cover Juju? Is he going to cover Worthy? I don't know what he's going to do, but with no safety help back there, I think they're going to be able to take some shots deep here and kind of really run the score up, something that I don't believe San Francisco is going to be able to hang with. And then defensively, they're still trying to block Chris Jones from the Super Bowl. I know they have Dominic Pooney, a rising rookie, I believe a third or fourth round pick for them, who's been looking good, but still, I don't think Trent Williams is fully up to speed. Talking to our people in Stoners Nation and Sports Narrative, they did say that he looks a step slower. So maybe George Karlaftis can maybe get a little bit going there. So I'm not sure. I'm with you. I am taking the Chiefs as well.
All right, we've got a Monday Night Football doubleheader, but there's really one game that I want to hone in on. It's the game that I think we're all going to be watching here, and that's Bucks Ravens. This has become a really good matchup. I said last night on the audio podcast, if you guys haven't checked that out, it's here on YouTube. It's also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And I'm going to say it again here on YouTube, Alex. The Bucks continue to be the most undervalued team in the NFL. I think Baker is going to be able to find success and light up this secondary from the Ravens that has been really shaky. The Ravens, look, they can run the ball. They can stop the run. It's part of the reason why they're playing such good football. But I think this secondary is going to struggle to cover these Bucks wide receivers. I think this is also a big letdown spot for Baltimore. Bucks getting 3.5 points at home. Alex, once again, way too much value for me to ignore. Give me the Bucks and the points here.
Yeah, you know what, Brad? I think I'm leaning in your direction. The reason you might have seen my eyes looking around because I was checking to see where this game was. It's at Tampa Bay. I like Tampa Bay at home. They've seemed to have found a nice 1-2-3 punch at running back, if you believe what we saw last week from their rookie Sean. But Bucky Irvin's going to get a lot more snaps for Rashad White. He's going to get snaps. They seem to be able to do some things. And we know the first half Ravens defense looks good. It's that second half and the halftime adjustments that they haven't been able to fix. Specifically in the defensive back end is where they have problems. Tristan Wirfs is a stalwart there. So they have some strong guys up front. And then that line, Vita Villa. It may be disrupting a lot of what's going on with that running game as well as that passing game if they're unable to block him. So I'm going to take the Ravens here as well.
Yeah, and, I don't know how much this matters, but for some reason, Lamar Jackson has struggled in his home state of Florida. This has been a place that he really hasn't played very good football in the past. I don't know how much that matters in this matchup. I still like the Bucks at home getting the points, but I think that's something that's kind of interesting to look at as well if history repeats itself, so to speak. How about Texans, Packers? This is a really good matchup. Two young quarterbacks that are really playing some high-level football. Should be a fun one, Alex. But I think when looking at this matchup, Joe Mixon for the Texans, I think, makes a big difference for this Texans offense and the way he's been playing lately. CJ Stroud really isn't the same player on the road, and that has me a little nervous in this game. He's a much better player. If you look at his home road splits, he's been a much better player in Houston than he is on the road. These feel like two pretty evenly matched teams here. I think this should be a very good game, very competitive game. Jordan Love coming off of his best game of the year. If I was getting 3 points, I would take Houston here because I think that 3 point, we know that's kind of a key number here, getting the field goal. I would take Houston. But right now, I'm looking at a line of 2.5. So I'm going to take Green Bay and lay the 2.5 as just a short home favorite here. I'm going to lay the points, Alex, but I think this should be a great game. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm taking Green Bay as well. Jordan Love is back and he's hot, and that running game has been consistent. So I like what I'm seeing for them. I know Houston, they've kind of been a little bit up and down. They haven't looked as fluid as they did last year. And that's just sophomore, a little bit of a sophomore slump because a lot of people looking at CJ Stroud, looking for what they saw last year. It doesn't work that way, folks. It's very hard to be consistent your first 3 to 5 years. You're hoping that if you're bad the first year, you fix the things in the second year. If you're good the first year, it's how you adjust to how the defense adjusts to you in the second year. And that's what CJ Stroud is facing a little bit, which is why you don't see Stephon Diggs going crazy. They're also missing Nico Collins. So with that being said, yeah, I'm comfortable here taking the Packers.
How about this NFC North matchup? Two of the best teams in, quite frankly, the best division in the NFL right now. This should be a good one. Lions, Vikings. Now, Vikings are a 2 point favorite at home. Look, the Aiden Hutchinson injury, I think, could loom large here in this matchup. He was off having a career year. Alex, I can't help but wonder if Detroit can get enough pressure on Sam Darnold in this game to make him uncomfortable. Vikings have been great. We know this offense has been great. The defense has been playing lights out, getting a ton of pressure on other teams' quarterbacks. But I don't think they're built to slow down the run game from this Detroit Lions front here. The best O-line in football. They have been absolutely dominant. They give Goff time to throw, and they open up big running lanes. I think that they're going to control the clock. I think they're going to control the line of scrimmage in this game. And I think they're going to keep that high-powered Vikings offense on the sideline. Detroit getting 2 points here. Look, I can't pass on that value. I think they're the better team here. And if they're the better team and getting points, for me, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there, Brad. I like that Lions offensive line, period. It's really the offensive line that I really like from what I see with the Lions. And the other thing is the Vikings tend to blitz a lot to create a lot of pressure. I know that they're still building that defense. It's still kind of weak on the back end. I know Stephon Gilmore is there, but Stephon Gilmore cannot cover Jameson Williams with that speed. Anything short, intermediate, he probably can hang with him. But if they decide to send that guy deep, they're going to have a problem. And I think we're going to see Jameson Williams deep beating guys like Hunter Smith, a guy who's a possible maybe a fringe Hall of Fame player, but just very long in the tooth. And Stephon Gilmore the same way. They don't have a guy that can cover a guy with that size and that speed. So I think we're going to see that probably be close in the beginning and then second half start to take off. But I will say, Brad, you always talked about Terrion Arnold, and I'm not sure who's going to be covering Triple J. So I expect them to also, on that fast track, take their shots with Triple J to hopefully be able to beat, kind of go over the top a little bit on regard who's covering him. I expect them to take some shots. But the one thing to look out for the Vikings from a fantasy standpoint is they did make the trade for Cam Akers, a guy who actually they had last year. So that may be a sign. He may want to be watching come game time who, if Aaron Jones is still going to be playing or not, because he is coming off injury. So we need to make sure that he's going to be able to go even though they're coming off of a bye. So keep an eye on that from a fantasy standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point about Justin Jefferson and the problem that he could cause for that Detroit Lions secondary, I think that's why I pointed out the Aiden Hutchinson injury, because I think if they can't get pressure here and he has time to throw, this could turn into a little bit of a shootout. That could definitely keep the Vikings in this game. So I think that it puts a lot of pressure on this offensive line for Detroit and this run game to really control the clock and slow this game down. They don't want to get into a shootout with this Vikings team. Alex, let's switch it over. College football, we've got two big-time games in the SEC that we're going to focus on here. Let's start with the biggest game, the game everyone's going to be watching here, Georgia, Texas. Big-time matchup here. Two teams that have national championship aspirations. Look, Quinn Ewers returned last week after missing 2 games with that injury. We know this guy's a really good quarterback. We know he's probably going to be a top 5 pick in the draft, but he looked a little rusty. He didn't really look like himself. Georgia is this experienced team. They're a little young on the defense, but they've got a ton of experience. They're well coached. We know how smart this team plays, how disciplined they are. They have a top 5 win already this year. Now, the Bulldogs, I think easily you could say, are going to be the best opponent that Texas has faced this season by far. I'm really tempted to take the Dogs here, but here's the catch. This line has moved, and when I checked earlier, it was Texas as a 3.5-point favorite. I've already seen it move all the way to 5, and that tells me the pros are clearly coming in heavy on Texas. Plus, Texas is at home, and that stadium is going to be crazy. So give me Texas. I think they cover. I think they're too much to handle, especially on the offensive end. I don't think Georgia can keep up with them, and I think they make a statement win in the SEC.
Well, if they're going to make a statement win, that means Quinn Ewers is going to have a statement game, because Georgia still is a good team, even though I'm not fond of the quarterback at the helm at the moment. But they're still a formidable team. They're not going to be afraid to go into Texas. It will be intimidating for those young players, but those other players, it's still Georgia at the end of the day. And if they're going to have a statement win, that means Quinn Ewers is going to have a big game. And I'm standing on the point still. I think when it's time to go to the playoffs, I don't believe Quinn Ewers will be the start of this team. I think it will be back to Arch Manning that leads them to a national title if they are on that track. But I will say this, Georgia, the defense has started to pick it up a little bit. I'm interested to see if they can build on what they've been building on since the Texas game and kind of apply a little bit of pressure to Quinn Ewers, because he is fragile. Let's be real. He is fragile. So he's not moving around the way that he used to. So he can be gotten to. So I'm interested to see how that plays out.
Now, Alex, we've got a upset special here to end it for you guys. Arkansas, LSU. Look, Arkansas is really 12 combined points away from being undefeated.
Yep.
They've quietly been a really good football team this year. So don't sleep on the Razorbacks, who also just knocked off then number 4 Tennessee. Now, LSU was a 3-point favorite. Now it's down to 2.5. So we've seen some money come in on the LSU side. But here's the thing, Alex, when you look into the betting here, LSU is just 2-4 against the spread this year. Arkansas, on the other hand, 5-1 against the spread this year. I think Arkansas can run the ball versus this LSU front 7 that's been a little shaky stopping the run. I think they can control the line of scrimmage up front. Give me Arkansas as a home dog. You know how much I love a home dog, Alex, with the upset pick of the week.
Yeah, and that's why I looked at this game and I said, I see an upset, and I'm taking Arkansas as well. LSU didn't, to me, last week, it did not look good. They get credit for the win. I already talked about Whitweek being my helmet sticker guy from last week, but I just think Arkansas is scrappy, and they're in for, they want to get you in the phone booth, and they want to have a phone booth fight. If you look at their game against Oklahoma State, 31-39. You talked about it, 12 points between being undefeated. Texas A&M, 17-21. They're not letting anybody blow them out. You're not getting the upper hand on them. They are staying with you. They're going to stand in the middle of the ring and go blow for blow. And I don't think LSU is tough enough to stand in the ring and take the beating that and be as tough as Arkansas is ready to be. So I'm with you, Brad. Give me Arkansas. upset special. LSU dropping probably down out of the top 10 after that.
Guys, if you enjoyed this episode, do us a favor. Hit that like button and hit the subscribe button as well so you can continue to check out our content. We're bringing you guys NFL and college football previews, betting picks every week, exclusive YouTube shorts, and of course, the audio version of the podcast as well is available here on YouTube and, of course, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. But we appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you next time.